We are located on the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC in Chapel Hill. Today is Tuesday, the 27th of February, and your radio hosts today are
Eric LeGlowick
and Tina Beatty, and we will be reading the news for today's edition of the Fayettville Observer, and Eric has the weather.
Alrighty. Your weather today is 65 degrees with sunny, lots of sunshine. Tonight it's going to be a partly cloudy day with 41 degrees as the low. Wednesday is going to have a high of 64 with a low of 54. Mostly cloudy with a shower in the late afternoon. Thursday is going to be 73 degrees as a high and 46 degrees as your low. It's going to be cloudy and breezy with a thunderstorm later on. Friday is 62 degrees as the high, 37 degrees as the low, with mostly sunny and a little bit of clouds in the air, but it's going to be also windy, so watch out. Saturday is 59 degrees as a high, 35 degrees as a low, breezy with plenty of sunshine. Sunday is 58 degrees high, again 35 degrees low, with plenty of sunshine. And finally, Monday is going to be a high of 59 degrees and a low of 38, with partly sunny days throughout.
Well, now, I'll have to wear a coat to church on Sunday again. We go up and down and up and down. Oh, today in history. Here we go. Today is Tuesday, February the 27th. It's the 58th day of 2018, and there are 307 days left in the year. Today's highlight: on February the 27th, 1968, at the conclusion of a CBS News special report on the Vietnam War, Walter Cronkite delivered a commentary in which he said that the conflict appeared mired in stalemate. In 1922, the Supreme Court, in Lesser v. Garnett, unanimously upheld the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, which guaranteed the right of women to vote. In 1933, Germany's parliament building, the Reichstag, was gutted by fire. Chancellor Adolf Hitler, blaming the communists, used the fire to justify suspending civil liberties. In 1943, during World War II, Norwegian commandos launched a successful raid to sabotage a German-operated heavy water plant in Norway. And in 1973, members of the American Indian movement occupied the hamlet of Wounded Knee in South Dakota, the site of the 1890 massacre of Sioux men, women, and children. The occupation lasted until the following May. And birthdays today. Do we have a birthday person today? Let's have a look and see. No? What is this, folks? It's Tuesday and no birthdays. Oh well. Let's see. Birthdays in the paper. Actress Joanne Woodward is 88. Consumer advocate Ralph Nader is 84. Actor Howard Hessman is 78. Actress Deborah Monk is 69. Rock singer musician Neil Schon from Journey is 64. Country singer Johnny Van Zant from Van Zant is 58. Basketball Hall of Famer James Worthy is 57. R&B singer Chili from TLC is 47. Country rock musician Sean Tucker is 40. Rock musician Jake Clemens of Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band is 38. Singer Josh Groban is 37. Banjoist Noam Pilkney is 37. And actress Kate Mara is 35. And, excuse me, applause to Charles Watson of Fort Bragg, who was named to the fall of 2017 President's List at Davenport University in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And to Daniqua Drayton of Rayford, who was named to the fall 2017 Dean's List at Newberry College in South Carolina.
Alright, and here's what you need to know. Number 1, Church Food Bazaar at Fayetteville Korean Baptist Church, 6873 Cliffdale Road, is having its Church Food Bazaar on Thursday and Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. 10 spring rolls are $6 and a bulgogi combo plate is $8.
Oh, let me tell you something. Those spring rolls are fabulous.
Oh, I know. I actually live near there.
Do you?
Yep.
That's smart, easy. He's going to go first.
Oh, yeah. My barber, she has a part of it. She's with it,
nice.
so I always go to her and get some for me and my dad.
Absolutely.
The event is a fundraiser for mission projects. For more information, please call 867-5120 or 867-5118.
And is this one day or 2 days or what?
Thursday and Friday from 9 a.m. to
Okay.
5 p.m.
Thank you. Well, I know what I'm having for dinner on Friday.
Number 2 is Safe School Meetings. The public is invited to a meeting at the Kiwanis Recreation Center, which is 352 Devers Street, on Saturday to discuss how to make schools safer in light of the recent mass shooting at a Florida high school. The meeting, Mom Demands Safety of Our Kids in School, is being organized by Naveed Aziz, a Spring Lake physician and a Democratic candidate for the State Senate District 21 Street. The meeting is scheduled for 2 p.m. The third thing you need to know is Dr. Seuss Birthday Parade and Family Fun Day. Spring Lake is planning a Dr. Seuss Birthday Parade and Family Fun Day from March 10th on Main Street. The parade starts at 11 a.m. The Family Fun Day starts following the parade. And finally, Girl Scout cookies. This weekend is your last chance to stock up on Girl Scout cookies. The annual campaign ends Sunday. Girl Scouts are still looking to donate 1 million boxes of cookies in support of Operation Cookie Drop, a community service project that delivers cookies to the military through donated boxes of Girl Scout cookies. People may donate to Operation Cookie Drop at booths where cookies are sold.
All right. Okay, here's Livewire today, and what happened here is there's one question, but it's been written in several times, so they've got one answer. Question: has Channel 62 gone off the air? I haven't been able to get it in several weeks. I'm curious what happened to it, and that's from RG in Fayetteville. And question: what happened to over-the-air broadcast Channel 62 WFPX? This channel was part of the Ion television network and was broadcast from a tower in Lumber Bridge, just south of Fayetteville. It appears they went off the air, as their channel went totally blank. Telephone calls to them went unanswered. Are they off the air permanently or just experiencing technical difficulties? And that's from HS in Fayetteville. And here's another one from Mr. RG. Has Channel 62 gone off the air? I haven't been able to get it in several weeks. I'm curious what happened to it. And the last question: I have a plug-in antenna on the back of my TV that picks up digital channels. A few weeks ago, I suddenly lost several channels like Ion and QVC. Oh, that'd be terrible if I lost QVC. Do you know what my husband would be happy. Do you know what caused that and how I might get those channels back? And here is an answer to all these questions. And that's just a sampling of what we've received about this channel. Bad news though. According to a spokesman for ION, the station moved its transmitter location as part of the FCC Spectrum auction. And this is a quote: as a result, a small number of viewers that rely on an over-the-air antenna to get ION may not get reception depending on where they live, ION says. However, new viewers will now be able to watch ION as a result of the move. Cable and satellite homes are not affected by the move. One reader told Livewire this station airs her mother's favorite shows, Law and Order and Criminal Minds. Hulu and Netflix may be options, since both those services stream the shows her mother wants. Another caller suggested his better than average antenna can get ION on 13.3, a sub-channel out of Channel 13 from Florence, South Carolina.
Seems very odd that they would not tell anybody, though.
Yeah, it just... That's like when they close a business down because they've gone bankrupt. and they don't tell anybody, including the employees. They just close it down. Not good.
It's a shame right there. Alrighty, here's today in public safety. Unfortunately, these are the Cumberland County arrests.
But it's not very big today, so the criminals are all resting. Oh.
Thankfully, they're taking a break because of the weather. First one is Eric Terrell Smith Jr., 27, of the 1100 block of Vesper Lane, was charged Monday with 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill and 1 count discharging a firearm into occupied property. Bail was set at $50,000. The next is Stephen Justin Batten, 34, of the 800 block of McKay Court in Hope Mills, was charged Monday with injuring a building, fence of wall. Odd. He is accused of causing damage estimated at more than $5,000 to a rental home. Bail was set at $2,500. Gary Mitchell Clark, 61, of the 9300 block of Tyne Road, was charged Monday with habitual larceny, attempted common law robbery, and misdemeanor second-degree trespassing. Bail was set at $10,000. Finally, Davion Lamar Locke, 22, of the 200 block of Tiffany Court, was charged Monday with possessing marijuana with intent to manufacture, sell, or deliver, and 2 misdemeanors, maintaining a drug dwelling or vehicle, and possessing drug paraphernalia. Bail was set at $2,000.
Okay. Here's 2 little ones. Man charged in wife's death. The husband of a 72-year-old woman is accused of fatally shooting her early Friday in their home in the Rose Hill Gardens apartments off Rose Hill Road. James William Strother, 76, of the 200 block of Tiffany Court, is charged with first-degree murder in the death of Edna Strother. Officers were called to the couple's home about 2:15 a.m. to investigate a reported shooting, Fayetteville police have said. Edna Strother was found inside the residence with a gunshot wound to her abdomen. She was taken to Cape Fear Valley Medical Center, where she later died. James William Strother also was taken to the hospital for an unrelated medical condition. He was released Monday, police said, and taken to the Cumberland County Detention Center. Investigators have said the shooting was the result of a domestic dispute. James William Strother is being held without bail. And another little shorty here. Excuse me, I've brought my frogs with me today. Motorcyclist dies in NC 87 wreck, and this is from Lillington. A motorcyclist was killed Saturday when he struck the back of a car pulling out of a parking lot onto NC 87 North near Spout Springs, the North Carolina Highway Patrol said. The wreck happened about 9:15 p.m. at Mitty Haddock Drive, which is an exit from the Food Lion Shopping Center. The exit is beside the Taco Bell restaurant near the entrance to Linden Oaks neighborhood, according to a report filed by Trooper J.D. Fouché. 7 Antonio Lambert, 35, of the 200 block of Wooddale Drive in West End, operating a 2014 Yamaha motorcycle, was traveling north on NC 87 when a 2018 Chevrolet Impala pulled from Mitty Haddock Drive, making a right turn to go north, the report said. The car was driven by Connie Lee Richards, 50, of the 400 block of Yorkshire Drive in Cameron. The motorcycle slammed into the rear of the car, throwing Lambert off the motorcycle and onto the highway. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The motorcycle flipped over several times before coming to rest in the median. The Chevrolet stopped on the shoulder of the road. Neither Richards nor a passenger in the car were hurt, the report said. Speed and alcohol use by Lambert were cited as contributing factors, Fouché reported. So that was the guy that was killed. My goodness.
Terrible.
Okay.
Alright. The next story is Council to seek help in FEMA dispute. Multiple members of the Fayetteville City Council said Monday night they want to involve congressional representatives in a dispute with the Federal Emergency Management Agency over Hurricane Matthew dam construction. I think it's time that we get our congressmen involved, Councilman Jim Arp said, and we start knocking on doors and do whatever we have to do for the reimbursement. The dispute stems over FEMA's lack of response to the city's request for reimbursement for the planned Devonwood Lower Dam reconstruction. The council unanimously voted to allow city staff to move forward with contracts to begin design work for the Devonwood Lower Dam reconstruction. Nearly a year ago, the council approved funding for dam repairs on April 24th with the expectation that the project would be reimbursed by FEMA. City staff sent documents to FEMA asking for a reimbursement commitment in October, but FEMA hasn't responded to the city staff. And design work must start soon to avoid a potential $600,000 cost increase because of federal wetland mitigation fee requirements that kick in once a lake has been empty for more than 2 years. The Devonwood Lower Dam is one of the 2 city-owned dams damaged by Hurricane Matthew in 2016. The city performed temporary repairs to the dam to preserve McFadden Drive, which goes over the dam. FEMA considers the city's dam repairs to be complete, but the North Carolina Dam Safety Society office said that the dam requires more repairs. Rob Stone, the director of the city's Engineering and Infrastructure Department, said, "The city and taxpayers in this city are being penalized because we took prudent measures to ensure that we could keep the road open," Arp said. Councilman Johnny Dawkins said he spoke with a representative from U.S. Rep. Richard Hudson's office on Friday. She said, "What do you need help with?" Dawkins said. "I said, we need help with dams." Councilman Brule Crisp also spoke at length about needing to involve Hudson and U.S. Representative Robert Pittenger. FEMA representatives are scheduled to inspect the Devonwood Lower Dam on Wednesday. The council also unanimously approved changes to the city's noise ordinance. At a meeting earlier this month, Fayetteville Police Department lawyer Brandon Christian revealed that the old noise ordinance was unenforceable because the city doesn't have equipment to measure decibels and frequency. The old ordinance quantified noise violation using these measures. The changed ordinance allows Fayetteville police officers to determine whether violations have occurred based on how far away the noise can be heard. In addition, Council passed an amendment that allows for neighbors to take civil action against neighbors when police officers are not able to present when noise violations are occurring.
Okay, here's an article about some paratroopers training for near-peer threats. That is, you know what your peer is, but you don't know what near-peer threats are. This is a very long article. If it gets repetitive, I'll try and pick out some good spots. There's 2 pictures. The first one is a picture of the 82nd Airborne Division paratroopers preparing to jump as part of Operation Falcon Storm, and it looks like it was taken with NVGs because the picture is green. And the other picture is paratroopers assigned to the 82nd Airborne Division will pull security during a training exercise on Fort Bragg in early February. Well, I guess we missed that one. Anyway, a distant whistle broke the silence hanging over a training compound near Fort Bragg's McKeithen Pond. The whistle turned into a screech, followed by the thud of a blast, then another. Then came the soldiers, announced by the pop and crack of their weapons as they carefully edged around buildings and rusted vehicles. As they fought to the north of the training area, a second group of soldiers emerged from the west and began to methodically move across open terrain. Run, take cover, shoot, repeat. Slowly, the soldiers closed ground between themselves and their objective, a makeshift network of tunnels created by topping deep concrete trenches with plywood. Their arrival was marked by a barrage of muffled gunfire. Paratroopers with the 2nd Brigade Combat Team, 82nd Airborne Division, had control of the compound in less than an hour. But a successful assault was little cause for celebration. As the soldiers regrouped, they began to prepare for their next mission. Over a 2-week span earlier this month, there was little respite for thousands of 82nd Airborne Division paratroopers taking part in a massive training exercise known as Operation Falcon Storm. And there's a picture on this page too of a UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter. It's being loaded into a plane as part of a deployment readiness exercise on Fort Bragg. They don't say which plane it is, but it looks mighty big. I don't know if it's a C-5 or what it is. Anyway, the training included 2 short-notice deployments, 3 parachute assaults, a deep strike against enemy air defenses, 3 large air assaults, 4 small air assaults, 2 artillery gun raids, and several ground assaults, all in the span of 9 days. It involved 11,000 soldiers, 800 rolling vehicles, dozens of planes, and more than 70 helicopters. The training, really several exercises rolled into one, was meant to prepare division soldiers for a familiar mission as the Global Response Force, which is tasked with deploying anywhere in the world on short notice. It also was an opportunity for paratroopers to hone their skills against an army with modern capabilities. And at the same time, it helped the 82nd Airborne Division prepare for a possible deployment unlike anything the Army has done in recent years. All-out war, leveraging all of the division's assets and support from other partners against a near-peer threat. That means integrating infantry with helicopters, artillery, and engineers, and incorporating capabilities from partner units that can provide high-mobility artillery rocket systems, air defense weapons, civil affairs, explosive ordnance disposal, and other skill sets. It's over and above the brigade combat team, said British Brigadier Oliver Kingsbury, the 82nd Airborne Division's Deputy Commanding General for Plans. We're making a division that's greater than the sum of its parts. Officials said the exercise was among the most complex training the division has undertaken at its home station in recent years. Lieutenant Colonel Phil Kinnery, the division operations officer, said the exercise was designed to be an intermediate step between typical training at Fort Bragg and what the 2nd Brigade might face during a combat training center rotation in Louisiana later this year. 5 days after paratroopers entered the training exercise, Kingsbury looked out over a room filled with maps and monitors and assessed the progress from Division's Operations Center. With more than 11,000 troops involved over the 2 weeks of training and close to 5,000 paratroopers spread across Fort Bragg's sprawling training areas on this particular day, he said Falcon Storm was no ordinary training event, but it was a sign of things to come. This goes on and on, guys. I mean, I can keep reading if you want me to, or I can come back and read some more later when we don't have anything else left to read. So you go ahead and read whatever you have next.
Sure thing. This one is actually in response to the President's comments last week about the mass shooting with arming teachers. The article is, "Plan to arm teachers gets mixed reactions. Superintendent, Trump proposal would have to be federal or state mandate." That's the quote that goes with the article. The article starts, "The interim superintendent of Cumberland County Schools understands the concerns of communities and schools over the safety of students, but until he gets the facts, Superintendent Tim Kinlaw said he has reservations about President Donald Trump's controversial proposal to arm teachers with guns in the classrooms. I would be well guarded in saying at this time that teachers should carry weapons in school. I think this would have to be a federal or state mandate," he said Monday. I would be hard-pressed to see the local school system have to determine qualifications and training requirements and the conditions in which firearms would be permitted to be carried by the teachers. The debate over whether teachers should be armed has become part of a national discussion after a gunman killed 17 people at Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida on Valentine's Day. Nicholas Cruz, who has been charged with the murders, allegedly used an AR-15 assault rifle to kill his victims. After meeting with school shooting survivors last week, Trump said he wants highly trained teachers to carry guns in an effort to thwart the next potential mass shooting on school grounds. I would have to have a complete understanding under which circumstances teachers be allowed to carry a firearm, Kinlaw said. The training requirements, experience, we do have a lot of ex-military employees in our system, a lot of ex-law enforcement in our system who have the right background to use a weapon and know under what conditions to use a weapon. I think it would have to be very structured, a government program with proper training. Everything from the capacity of the firearm to the understanding of the consequences of the capacity of the firearm. If a teacher is shooting at an armed suspect, he said, the possibility exists of that weapon discharging into a classroom wall or unintentionally striking an innocent victim. Certainly, law enforcement has a lot to go through training for a firearm. Teachers would have to go through training, Kinlaw said. Under what circumstances would be allowed? I think it's something I can't make an overnight decision on. On its website, the Cumberland County Association of Educators is asking its members to let them know how they feel about the president's idea. The president has suggested arming teachers, and there has been some talk in Raleigh about doing just that. What do you think about these proposals? We want to hear from you. Carol Stubbs, the president of the Cumberland County Association of Educators, did not return telephone messages left Monday. In a statement Monday, North Carolina State Superintendent Mark Johnson said he opposed the idea of arming teachers with firearms. We already ask so much of our educators, he said. I do not believe we should ask them to take on another massive responsibility of having firearms in the classroom. As state superintendent, I am working to reduce additional burdens on teachers so that they can spend more time focused on teaching. Instead, Johnson supports the expansion of funding for school resource officers. Firearms on school grounds, he said, should be in the hands of these trained, uniformed law enforcement personnel. Donald Cahill, the principal at Bill Hefner Elementary School, largely agrees with the president's suggestion, though Cahill said it would be crazy to give everybody a gun in the school. He added, if they are in agreement and highly trained, I would not have any problems with teachers having guns in the schools. Cahill also noted the plethora of retired service members who live in the Fayetteville area. They're highly trained. They would be a good resource to have in our schools as well. I think they need to be paid. I've had parents who are retired military who would be interested in doing something like that, but legally, at this time, they cannot. As for arming teachers who would qualify, he said military veterans could do the training. They should be highly trained, the principal said, something similar to law enforcement. Kaylee Hill, the principal at Manchester Elementary School in Spring Lake, is an Army veteran. She's comfortable with the Second Amendment, and while she's no anti-gun advocate, Hill opposes the notion of teachers carrying weapons on school premises. It concerns me gravely to think that the solution is to arm teachers, she said to Trump's proposal. Educators are more than just instructors of a set of curriculum. We have multiple roles. There are 1,000 different things required to do this job. To add the stress of carrying a weapon and brandishing that weapon around innocent students or students who are innocent but might not be innocent is too much to ask of educators. We are in real close proximity to students every day, Hill said. Sometimes you have to physically separate students. Having a weapon on your person in that close proximity of 20 to 30 students, that increases the risk of an accident happening.
I brought Our State magazine with me today. You know, sometimes I do that if we haven't got a lot of news and I read bits and pieces from it. So, this is the editorial by Elizabeth Hudson, who's the editor-in-chief, and she writes really nice, homey pieces. A lot of times about her childhood, but she's writing about pie today. In fact, that's the issue. This issue of Our State magazine is called The Legendary and Landmark Pies of North Carolina. If that don't make your mouth water, I don't know what will. Anyway, that's my mom with her beehive hairdo behind the counter at the Blue Gable Cafe, a modest diner that was in a little white clapboard house on Old 421 in Julian before the bypass was built. It's 1966. She's 16 years old, and this is her first job, coordinated by the Work-Study Program Distributive Education at Southeast Guilford High School. Ruby Roberts, Blue Gable's owner, she's in the picture too, laughing with her daughter and grandson, entrusted my mom with taking care of the whole front of the house, wrapping silverware, wiping down counters, serving all the diners. Mom was a good waitress because she was so easygoing and happy. In her high school yearbook, she won the title of D.E. Sweetheart. She knew everyone who came in. At lunch, she knew everyone who came in. At lunch, the place filled with employees from Gilmore Plant and Bulb Nursery across the street. On Sunday, families from Liberty came out to church. She knew who wanted chow-chow on their pintos and how often to refill glasses of tea. And when she cleared away the dishes, she always asked, her sweet southern voice singing out, "You all ready for some pie?" Everybody always wanted pie. The Blue Gable had cobbler and banana pudding, but it was the pie that people remembered. Lemon meringue, coconut cream, strawberry, apple, just the basics, nothing fancy. "You just don't see that like you used to," my mom said to me one evening when we'd gone out to eat. "Seems like desserts have gotten so complicated." Maybe so. I've eaten in hundreds of restaurants in this state, and I've had to learn what profiteroles are. I didn't grow up with brulees or lemon curd or piped icing. In my family, cake was for special occasions, but pie was for every day, served on no-frills melamine. The pies I knew were easy, not much more than sugar, eggs, milk, and butter in a chess pie, egg whites and sugar for the meringue on chocolate. Pie was for conversation across a lunch counter, coat still on, feet twirling the swivel stool. Pie was familiar. The pecans came from the same tree that shaded the hammock in my grandmother's backyard. Pie was casual, eaten on a front porch, on a picnic table, on a paper plate, balanced on one knee, while sitting in a folded chair at a family reunion. My mom and I drove down to Julian a few weeks ago to see if the Blue Gable was still there. The little white house is still standing, and the gables are still painted royal blue, but the windows are covered over. Doesn't look like it's been a restaurant for a long, long time. We parked in the same spot where my mom once pulled her 53 Mercury, and I listened to her share this memory, her sweet southern voice singing out. And I thought about how that cafe, in its day, have the secret, that things don't need to be fancy to be loved, and that the simplest things become our greatest luxuries. And I went straight past station identification.
Oh no.
Yes, and where is it? It's right here. We do this every half an hour. This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a non-profit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the SENCRRS in mind. Our P.O. Box number is 35029, and that's Fayetteville 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at 910-672-1600 or toll free 1-844-709-5656. And your radio hosts today are
Eric Blowett
and Tina Beatty. and we are proud to serve you today.
All right. We'll be going on to an article called Tax Preparer Faces Charges. A Fayetteville tax preparer is accused of overcharging clients and pocketing the extra money according to arrest warrants in the Cumberland County Magistrate's Office. Katiuska Natalie Kukogi, 46, of the 300 block of Woods Lane in Rayford, was charged Monday with 5 counts of obtaining property by false pretense. 4 of the alleged offenses were reported in 2016 and 1 happened in 2015, warrants said. Kukogi worked for Gerald Smith Accounting at 846 Elm Street, a Fayetteville police spokesman said. The amount she overcharged people varied from $120 to $10, warrants said. The total amount she is accused of taking is $380. Bail was set at $10,000.
Oh.
Sorry, it was a short article.
It was, wasn't it? You go ahead and read that one.
Sure thing. Here's another article. Driver killed in crash near Coates. In Lillington, a Benson man was killed Saturday in a single vehicle wreck on Johnson County Road about 3.5 miles north of Coates in Harnett County, the Highway Patrol said. Jose Manuel Armendariz, 44, driving a 2000 Nissan Maxima, was traveling east on Johnson County Road about 11:30 a.m. when the car ran off the right side of the road, according to a report filed by Trooper C.S. Carter. The car hit a small tree, then struck a fire hydrant and overturned. Armendariz, who was not wearing a seatbelt, was partially ejected and crushed when the car came to a rest on its side, the report said.
Okay. Here is in brief. This is from Pinehurst. The Concours d'Elegance luxury car show will not be held this year, said a spokesman for the event. Dave Droshak, who handled publicity for the spring event in each of its 5 years, said he had no information about the reason for the cancellation or whether it will be held again. It's not happening in 2018, Droshak said. The event was first held in 2013. It attracted high-end, collectible cars from around the nation to the Pinehurst Resort. In some years, an Iron Mike car rally was held on Fort Bragg as part of the event. A collectible car auction was held the first year. In recent years, a concert has been held in connection with the event. Droshak said there was talk of moving the event to the fall, but said it was instead cancelled altogether. And military children invited to communication workshop. Children of soldiers and veterans are invited to attend a free workshop helping them hone interpersonal communication skills. The Reconnection workshop, which is free, will be Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the American Red Cross on Fort Bragg. Lunch will be provided. The workshop will focus on developing interpersonal communication skills and is designed for children of military families, according to the American Red Cross. There will be separate sections with activities for children ages 8 to 12 and children ages 13 to 18. The workshop is a partnership between the American Red Cross and the Armed Services YMCA. For information, contact Kathy Foxon at 436-0500 extension 26 or kfoxon at asymca.org.
Here's another article. Suspect charged in rape and kidnapping. A Fayetteville man is accused of raping a woman he met through an online advertising service and seriously injuring her, the Spring Lake Police Department said. Robert Matthew Allen Jr., 37, of the 600 block of Tanglewood Drive was charged Monday with first-degree forcible rape and first-degree kidnapping. Allen surrendered himself at the Cumberland County Detention Center, Spring Lake Police Chief Troy McDuffie said. Officers were called to the victim's home on the 200 block of Holland Drive about 9:45 p.m. Sunday, a police release. The Fayetteville Observer does not identify victims of sexual assaults. The woman said she met Allen through an ad on Craigslist.com, an online advertising site, and invited him to her home where they met for the first time, the release said. Allen became aggressive during the evening, the release said, and hit the woman in the back of the head, knocking her out. While she was unconscious, Allen forcibly raped the woman, the release said. The woman suffered injuries to her head and face and was taken to Cape Fear Valley Medical Center for treatment. Allen's bail was set at $150,000.
Gosh, that's all I can say. Okay, I let's see, here we go. Myron Pitt's column and one opinion from the paper, which is our local editorial. I don't have any others yet, so whether there'll be any or not, I don't know. We will see. Okay. Now, here's Myron Pitt's column, entitled "Not a Bad Lineup for Festival's First Rap Foray." And there's a picture of Coolio, whose 1990 hits included Gangsta's Paradise and Fantastic Voyage, and he's scheduled to perform at the Dogwood Festival on April the 27th. Last year, Jay-Z became the first rapper inducted into the Songwriting Hall of Fame. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five were the first rap group inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and Tupac and Public Enemy have works preserved in the Smithsonian. But I knew rap had arrived earlier this month when Fayetteville's Dogwood Festival announced rap groups in its roster of evening concert headliners. Drum roll, or rather beatbox roll, please. They are old school rap stars, Young MC, Coolio, and Rob Bass. These rap acts are scheduled to perform Friday night, April 27th, at Festival Park, followed by fireworks. I talked Monday to Carrie King, festival director, who said the festival has featured rap performers before, but not as evening headliners. There are a lot of things folded into it, she said. We've been working on the I Love the 90s tour for about 2.5 years. It just lined up and worked for us this year. We pulled the trigger in May of last year. She said booking bands is hard business. Okay, I'll just make sure I didn't go to the wrong page. As for the chosen trio of rap acts for this year, I think the festival did pretty well for a first foray into hip-hop headliners. We have to have realistic expectations. The festival charges no admission to concerts, and that means a limited budget for booking. The full I Love the 90s hip-hop tour came to the Crown Coliseum in 2016 with Salt and Pepper, Vanilla Ice, and others, but that was a pay show. Also at the Dogwood Festival, whatever music is chosen has to be geared for a general audience. And lastly, as festival acts have proven, even entertainers whose hits are well behind them can rock the house. One of my favorite shows is still 80s icon Eddie Money's 2-hour set in 2008 at Festival Park. The most intriguing part of the lineup for me is Coolio, born Artis Leon Ivy Jr. He's always been kind of an odd bird in the rap game. He came out of Compton, California, when West Coast gangster rap was hot and ruled by the likes of Snoop Dogg. Coolio did some gangster, but excelled when he used the hood as a backdrop for a collection of funny stories. You can kind of get the vibe just from the title, Mama, I'm in Love with a Gangster. Of course, that's spelled with an A on the end. On his 1994 debut, It Takes a Thief. He had bona fide hits in Fantastic Voyage and Gangsta's Paradise. The other two rap headliners scored big hits too. Young MC's Bust a Move, released in 1989, won the 1990 Grammy for Best Rap Performer and tends to appear on lists compiling the most popular tracks from the 80s. It Takes Two by Rob Bass and DJ E-Z Rock was released in 1988 and still is in regular rotation in clubs. Built on a sample of soul singer Lynn Collins, it has itself been sampled by numerous others. In a sad footnote, E-Z Rock, who is one of the two from It Takes Two, died from diabetes complications in 2014 at age 46. The festival rappers remind me that hip-hop, long considered a young person's game, is getting long in the tooth. Coolio is 54, for instance. I was talking to a group of young men on Saturday morning about what I do for a living, and I told them my first newspaper story as an 8th grader was about breakdancing. Who knows what breakdancing is, I asked. To my relief, a few hands went up. But when I mentioned that breakdancing used to be a part of hip-hop, I got blank stares. So I didn't mention graffiti. Maybe they'll come out during Dogwood for a bit of hip-hop history and watch how the old heads do it. He always writes such good columns.
Well, unfortunately, going from that note, we have another sad article. A sex offender faces registry charge. A registered sex offender from Fayetteville is accused of violating the sex offender registry guidelines in Lee County. Reginald Terrell Moore, 39, of the 500 block of Blackbird Lane, failed to register a change of address within 3 days, Captain Jeffrey Johnson of the Lee County Sheriff's Office said. Moore was arrested Saturday, Johnson said, and bail was set at $100,000. And another quick article is Cliffdale lanes to close for loop work. 2 lanes of Cliffdale Road will be closed overnight this week where the outer loop is under construction to allow workers to bury storm drains under the pavement, the North Carolina Department of Transportation said in a news release. The 2 lanes going east towards South Riley Road will be closed from 9 p.m. until 5 a.m. Wednesday, and the 2 lanes going west toward Hope County will be closed during the same time Thursday. The detours will be the same both days. The release said the detour will send traffic onto South Riley Road, the Rayford Road, and Rim Road to access Cliffdale Road. The North Carolina Department of Transportation is building the Fayetteville Outer Loop, or NC 295, in sections. A stretch of the road from the All-American Freeway and Cliffdale Road will open this fall. Work on this section is the cause of Cliffdale Road closures this week. The entire 39-mile route will be completed by 2022.
Wow, gets more confusing by the day.
Just adding more and more roads.
I went up Murchison Road to Fort Bragg one day. I used to go up Murchison Road from here. If I had to go to Walmart or my vets or anything like that, I would go up the Merck instead of going up Morganton and or Fort Bragg. Fort Bragg Road. I went up there. The last time I went up Murchison Road, it appeared completely different to me. There's bypasses going over, under, around, and through until I figured I'd just get lost. I get lost easily. I should add that. Just as a by the way there, because I do. I don't have a great sense of direction, so it doesn't take much to lose me.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir. I had to go to Harnett County because we were visiting my aunt. They've got all those new loops and bypasses. I got lost and I went down the wrong road and I ended up downtown Fayetteville when I was supposed to end up on Cliffdale Road because I took one wrong turn and ended up completely.
And it's gonna get when they get this bypass going around, maybe things will be better, but I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, so. Here is the paper's editorial today. Town urged to develop parks plan. So let me read that to you, and pretty soon it will be time for the obituaries. Well, 10 more minutes. So, from Hope News. The town needs a comprehensive plan of its parks and recreation needs if it is to meet those needs over the next 10 years. The Hope Mills Board of Commissioners was told Monday night. Rachel Cotter, Principal Landscape Architect, excuse me, with the McAdams Civil Engineering firm, made the pitch at a special joint meeting with the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee. We want to make sure you're providing the best parks and recreation system that you can, Cotter said. We want to look at the park system in a very holistic way. The town hired McAdams at a cost of $49,000 to come up with a plan for the former Hope Mills golf course, which closed 4 years ago. In the beginning, the study, Cotter said, McAdams discovered the town had no comprehensive parks and rec plan. Cotter said such a plan is required to acquire most grants. Cotter said McAdams wants to do a complete parks and rec plan that takes into account the Hope Mills Lake Park, the proposed Heritage Park, Town History Museum, and other facilities. We want to make sure they all work well together, Cotter said. Typically, the comprehensive plan looks 10 years down the road and takes into account demographics, local and national trends, finances, maintenance, and land acquisition. She said McAdams would meet with town officials and survey the public as part of the plan. Drew Holland, the town finance director, said about half of the $49,000 in the original Hope Mills golf course contract has been spent. Holland said it would cost a total of about $87,000 to do a comprehensive plan. That cost would not include engineering and construction on whatever projects the town decides to move ahead with. That's the real nail-biter, Mayor Jackie Warner said. Commissioners took no action after the presentation. Warner said they will discuss the proposal at a retreat scheduled for Saturday at Camp Rockfish. Commissioners said they did not like the idea of spending more money, but seemed to feel a comprehensive plan needed to be done. Commissioner Jerry Legg said the town is spending about $1,800 a month to do maintenance, such as mowing the old golf course during warm months. The longer we wait, the more we spend on maintenance with it. With nothing on it, Legg said. Cotter said it's too late for the town to start applying for grants this year, but it could next year if it completes the study. She said the comprehensive study would probably take 4 to 6 months. Town Parks and Recreation Supervisor Kenny Bullock said he feels a study is needed. My goal is to move Parks and Rec forward, he said. I feel a lot of times we're stuck. The only way we're going to move forward is to have a plan. Okay, I think I'll go see. You got something to read there? I'll go.
I think I do before we have to get
I'll go and
obituaries.
round up the obits for us.
Alright. Fortunately, here's some more bad news.
Yes, well, sometimes that's the only news we get.
Yeah.
Occasionally we have some nice bright shooty thing.
Yeah. But unfortunately, this one is suspect in girl's death pleads not guilty.
Ew.
Yep. Adolphus Earl Kimry, accused of killing 3-year-old Mariah Woods, pleaded not guilty in court Monday afternoon. Kimry was in court for a Rule 24 hearing, which is held no more than 10 days after a grand jury indicts someone on a charge of first-degree murder. In addition to the murder charge, Kimry was indicted on charges of child abuse inflicting serious bodily injury, concealment of death, common law obstruction of justice, second-degree burglary, larceny, and possession of stolen property. District Attorney Ernie Lee previously announced his plans to seek the death penalty. He made it official in court Monday by announcing the case to be a capital one. The next court date for Kimry is scheduled for April 23rd. Following the hearing, Onslow County Sheriff Hans Miller confirmed the investigation remains open, which means additional charges could be coming in the case. Mariah was reported missing to authorities by Kimry, the live-in boyfriend of the girl's mother, around 6:30 a.m. on November 27th. Her body was discovered December 2nd in a Pender County waterway, more than 21 miles from her home on Dawson Cabin Road in Jacksonville, after days of searching by federal and local authorities.
I'm just sorting through my stuff here. Okay, this is my obituary stuff for 11 o'clock.
Just
This is some more things, yep. Here, let's see. Oh, there's an editorial. Yeah, I love them things. Here's some more things aren't too long, and we have probably got time to read. I got time to read this one, and then I'll give you station identification when I can find out what I did with it. And then you can read that at 11 o'clock when you change the computer over, okay?
All right.
And then I'll start the obituaries. There's not too many today. Okay. Prison escapee dies in Gaston wreck. Well, a man serving a life sentence for murder apparently escaped Monday by stealing a truck in Lowell while on prison work release and then traveling toward I-85. That truck was then involved in a wreck at exit 14 that killed its driver around 2 p.m. The ID of the person driving the truck was not confirmed, but emergency officials said they believe it was the inmate. David Allen Woods, an inmate at Gaston Correctional Center, was sentenced to life in prison after a 1995 conviction for second-degree murder in Harnett County. Woods, who would be eligible for parole within 5 years, had been incarcerated at the minimum security prison in Dallas since September, according to Department of Correction records. It was not immediately clear what Woods was doing outside prison, but he may have been part of a work crew. The truck was reported missing at 12:57 p.m. and police believe he could be headed south on South Main Street in Lowell towards Interstate 85. Wood's initial crime occurred Halloween 1993, before the state's current sentencing laws took effect, meaning he would be eligible for parole despite receiving a life sentence. So we must have a new law that says if you have a life sentence, you're not eligible for parole. That should teach me to pay better attention to what's going on. We can't do this early or late. We have to do it right at 11 o'clock. So what have we got here? All that stuff has to be read at 11 o'clock. Okay, maybe we can read this. I gave you this station ID, didn't I?
Yes.
This says fate of dreamers remains in limbo. Washington. The Supreme Court on Monday rejected the Trump administration's highly unusual bid to bypass a federal appeals court and get the justices to intervene in the fate of a program that protects hundreds of thousands of young immigrants from deportation. The announcement means the case affecting Dreamers will have to work its way through the lower courts before any Supreme Court ruling is possible. The case could also become moot if Congress takes action in the meantime. Right now, however, efforts to address the issue in Congress have hit a stalemate. The Supreme Court's decision for now to stay out of the case on the Obama-era Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals Program, or DACA, wasn't surprising. It's highly unusual for the Supreme Court to hear a case before a lower appeals court has considered it. But DACA supporters hail the decision as significant, if only temporary. They hailed it as a win. Trump said the case would now be heard by an appeals court and we'll see what happens from there. You know, we tried to get it moved quickly because we'd like to help DACA. I think everybody in this room wants to help with DACA, he said to visiting governors. But the Supreme Court just ruled that it has to go through normal channels. DACA has provided protection from deportation and work permits for about 800,000 young people who came to the U.S. as children and stayed illegally. So we're going to switch our channels here, and then we're going to read station ID.
All right.
Get him?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
All right. This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by UNC Chapel Hill. As a non-profit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the SENCRRS in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at 910-672-1600 or our toll-free number 1-844-709-5656. Your radio hosts are
Tina Beatty
and Eric LeGlow, and we are proud to serve you today.
Indeed we are. Okay. I'm going to do the obituaries now, and we'll do the death notices first. Now, I might end up passing this over to you for you to read part of them, but if I don't worry about it. I haven't had time to explain to you how this works. So I guess it's all mine. Okay.
That's fine.
The following deaths have been reported, and upcoming editions of the Fayettville Observer will have complete obituary information. From Cumberland County, Margaret Ann Birch, 85, of Fayetteville, Jernigan Warren Funeral Home. Janet Granger Holden, 59, of Fayetteville Cremation Services. Pearl L. Haywood, 82, of Fayetteville, Weissman Mortuary. And Joseph Anderson, 97, of Fayetteville, S&L Funeral Home in Maxton. I'm looking for a pen to cross out what I've read. Cape Fear Region, Jesse Lee McDougall of Bunlevel, Dafford Funeral Home in Dunn. Betty Jane Conklin, 85, of Lewisburg, Sullivan's Highland Funeral Service and Crematory, Fayetteville. Marie Sweeney, 79, of St. Paul's, Bowles St. Paul's Funeral Home. And James McQueen, 64, of Maxton, Jackson Funeral Home. Okay, on to the obituaries. From Hope Mills, William Franklin Faulkner, 78, of Hope Mills, born January 16, 1940, died on Saturday, February 24, 2018. A funeral service will be held on Wednesday, February the 28th at 11:30 a.m. at Hope Mills United Methodist Church, with the Reverend Dr. J. Robert Kretzu officiating. The family will receive friends from 10 a.m. to 11:30 at the church, and burial will follow at Hope Mills Cemetery. And in lieu of flowers, memorials may be made to Hope Mills United Methodist Church, 4955 Legion Road, Hope Mills 28348, and condolences may be left at pinecrestfuneralservice.com. From Hope Mills, Vaughn Janice Mancio, 26, Hope Mills, died Friday, February the 23rd. The funeral is Friday at noon at St. Anne Catholic Church. Visitation will be at Adcock Funeral Home and Crematory from Thursday from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. and burial will be in Rockfish Memorial Park, and Adcock Funeral Home and Cremation is in charge of arrangements. From Fayetteville, Betty Locklear Cummings, 75, of Fayetteville, passed away on Friday, February the 23rd. A funeral service will be held on Wednesday, February the 28th at Fayetteville Assembly of God. Burial will follow in Fayetteville Memorial Cemetery, and the family will receive friends from 11:45 to 1:45 prior to the service at the church, and the services are entrusted to Rogers and Breese. From Fayetteville, William Paul Skillman, 76 of Fayetteville, died Saturday, February 24th. Memorial is at Friday, 11 a.m., Jernigan Warren Chapel, with visitation following the service at the funeral home. And that's Jernigan Warren Funeral Home. From Spring Lake, Michael E. Wade, 60 of Spring Lake, died Monday, February 26th. The funeral will be Wednesday at 2 p.m. Hare's Chapel Free Will Holiness Church. Visitation is Adcock Funeral Home, Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. And burial, Hare's Chapel Church Cemetery, Adcock Funeral Home, and crematory in charge of all the arrangements there. From Fayetteville, Clara Jean Mayland, 88 of Fayetteville, died Saturday, February the 24th. The funeral is going to be Wednesday at 1 p.m. at Lafayette Funeral Home. Visitation will be at the funeral home on Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and burial is in Cumberland Memorial Gardens and Lafayette Funeral Home in charge of arrangements. From Rayford, Judith Ramona Froling, 75 of Rayford, passed away Saturday, February 24th in Cape Fear Valley Medical Center in Fayetteville. Memorial services will be Wednesday, February 28th at 11 a.m. in St. Patrick Catholic Church. The family will receive friends 1 hour prior to the service in the church parlor. Interment will follow in Fayetteville Memorial Cemetery. In lieu of flowers, memorials may be made to St. Patrick Catholic Church, 2844 Village Drive, Fayetteville, 28304, and arrangements are in the hands of Jernigan Warren Funeral Home. From Lumberton, J.W. Stone, 79 of Lumberton, died Sunday, February 25th. Graveside services will be held Wednesday at 2 p.m. in Gardens of Faith Cemetery, and visitation is at Floyd Mortuary and Crematory in Lumberton. That'll be Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. And Floyd Mortuary and Crematory in Lumberton is in charge of all arrangements. From Lillington, Earl Dar Stadnick, 83 of Lillington, died Friday, February 23rd. Memorial service will be Sunday, 3 p.m., United Methodist Church, not telling me where. I'm presuming it's in Lillington. When they print Adcock Funeral Home, my suggestion would be, to call Adcock and ask them, because what happened when the paper printed the obits today, a little tiny bit on the last three that were in a column got cut off. So I'm sort of making it up as I go along. Not really. You call the funeral home, okay? This is from Clinton. Doris Pope Fryer, 69 of Clinton, died Monday, February 26th. Memorial will be Wednesday at 2 p.m. at United Grove Missionary Baptist Church at 863 Pony Mill Road in Clinton. Visitation, Royal Hall Funeral Home Chapel, Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Royal Hall Funeral Home in charge there. And the last one today, from Sanford. Ronald something Ward, 80, sorry about that, of Sanford, died, we don't know what day, but guess we could look it up. It was February the 23rd anyway. There will be a memorial on Thursday at 2 p.m. at Kingdom Hall of Jehovah Witnesses in Sanford, and Oakland Peebles Phillips Funeral Home and cremation of Lillington is in charge of arrangements. So like I said, if that you can't figure out what I read to you, I wouldn't blame you. Call the funeral home and get the information from them. Okay, where am I? Have you got Billy Graham?
No, I don't have.
You have to read Billy Graham next. Where did he go? Here he is. We have a certain order we do after we read Oh, you'll have to keep that until we get through with all this stuff right here. So you do Billy Graham, and then we'll just go down the pile. You'll see.
Sure thing. All right. And like she said, here's Billy Graham. The title of it is After Divorce, Look to Future Rather Than Dwell on Past. Question is from Mrs. D.F. I was convinced I'd be happy once I got divorced, since all we did was argue. But now I'm lonely and miserable, and sometimes I even wish we were back together. It won't happen since he's remarried, but what can I do? I wish I could start over. And here's the answer. One of life's hardest lessons, and one we often forget in the heat of the moment, is that we can't change the past. We can mourn it, or try to forget it, but we can't change it. Nor can we change the consequences of what we've done or failed to do. But this doesn't mean we can't change the future, because we can with God's help. Listen, God doesn't want you to be chained to the past. Yes, divorce almost always brings with it great hurt and regret and sorrow. After all, divorce is like a death, because it marks the end of a relationship with someone you once loved. It also marks the death of our hopes for love and security and companionship, and often introduces new problems and struggles. What can you do? First, don't just focus on your broken dreams or on what might have been if you tried harder. Instead, seek ways to fill your life with new friends and new opportunities. In addition, many churches have programs on divorce recovery. Find one that could help you. The most important thing you can do, however, is to turn to God. He loves you, and He knows all about your hurt and your loneliness. By faith, open your heart and life to Jesus Christ and discover what it means to walk with Him every day. God's promise is for you. I have loved you with an everlasting love. I will build you up again. Jeremiah 31:3 and 4.
Okay, and now here's Dear Abby today. Dear Abby, my husband and I are 15 years apart in age. We have been together for 6 years, married a year and a half. He is my entire world, my best friend, and my soulmate. When we first met, he told me he didn't think he wanted another child. He has a daughter. I learned to accept it if I learned to accept it if I wanted to be with him. I had to be okay with being a stepmom and not having a child of my own. Fast forward, it's 6 years later, his daughter, now 14, no longer comes around. The ex-wife discouraged any relationship between my stepdaughter and me. I'm finding it harder and harder to cope with the fact that I don't have a child of my own. When I bring this up to my husband, he tells me, I told you in the beginning I didn't think I wanted another child. How do I deal with this? It's breaking my heart because she's not around anymore and I don't feel like a mom of any sort. And it's signed, Longing to be a Mom. And here's Abby's answer. Dear Longing, tell your husband that in the beginning when he told you he didn't think he wanted another child, you agreed because you thought you would accept it, but that as time has gone by, you no longer can. Then tell him you feel an important part of being a woman is being a mother. If he refuses to relent, then as much as you may love him, you may be married to the wrong man, and you will have to move on if you need to follow your biological imperative. The next letter. Dear Abby, can you please educate your readers about supermarket etiquette? Every time I buy groceries, I encounter people who push or park their carts in the middle of the aisle with no consideration for other shoppers. I also see them blindly blast through intersections in the aisles and barely avoid colliding with each other. A few weeks ago I said to a gentleman, "Pardon me, may I go around you?" "Thank you." He responded that I was the first person who had ever said that to him. I'm surprised there aren't more cases of road rage in the supermarkets. My suggestion, why don't we follow basic traffic rules in the supermarket? For example, stay to the right unless you are passing. Yield at intersections to the shopper on the right, etc. Abby, what do you think? Also, what's your take on big kids riding in the grocery carts? And it's signed Disgusted Shopper in Illinois. And here's the answer. Dear Disgusted, what you describe happens when folks fail to consider how their behavior affects others. When someone blocks the aisle with a grocery cart, the logical way to deal with it is to say, "Excuse me, please," which alerts the offender that there are others in the store besides him or her. Your suggestion that shoppers observe basic traffic rules is a good one, particularly when it involves observing the speed limit. Charging through the intersections of the aisles can cause an accident in which another shopper is harmed. As to big kids riding in shopping carts, as long as they aren't bothering other shoppers and the store doesn't care, I mind my own business and don't judge. You have what, horoscopes?
Yes.
All right.
Alright. Here are your horoscopes for today. You were born today. You are a strong-willed, ambitious individual, but you aren't the kind to overlook the plight of others as you continue your pursuit of goals. On the contrary, you understand the more successful you are, the more likely you will be able to help those who cannot help themselves. For Pisces, which are born February 19th to March 20th, you're likely to learn something unusual today that sends you in a new direction very quickly. Take all necessary precautions. Aries, March 21st to April 19th, you may get to the bottom of something today that has never yet been adequately explained to you or anyone else. Taurus, April 20th to May 20th. It may take a little more work than usual today to craft a schedule and timeline for a coming endeavor. Gemini, May 21st to June 20th. Your investigation of recent events is likely to uncover some information that you may not know what to do with at first. Think it out. Cancer, June 21st to July 22nd. The connection between you and someone else is almost certainly to be made public today, whether you like it or not. Be ready to explain. Leo, July 23rd to August 22nd. What is usually done in private may have to happen in front of an entire unsuspecting audience today. You can please almost everyone. Virgo, August 23rd to September 22nd. You're in no mood to brook accusations that are unfounded. Demand that those in the know step forward and address what can be cleared up. Libra, September 23rd to October 22nd. You're likely to be asked what others think are easy questions, but you understand there's more going than meets the eye. Scorpio, October 23rd to November 21st. You understand what others are getting at, but you're not willing to expose yourself today without knowing there's something in it for you. Sagittarius, November 22nd to December 21st. Timing is everything today, especially where interaction between you and a loved one is concerned. Don't let tensions rise. Capricorn, December 22nd to January 19th. You may feel for a number of reasons that you have already experienced almost all that this day has to offer. What's going on? And finally, Aquarius, January 20th to February 18th. Don't mistake what comes your way for what you want, just because it presents itself. You may well have to look further. And that's the horoscopes for today.
Okay. Looking at the clock. Okay, here is George Will's column today. Well, it's an op-ed piece. I don't know which side of the paper it came from. It's either an editorial or an op-ed. Same thing, just designating the page. Don't Tread on This Voter's T-shirt is the title of his column. Andrew Chillick might be, this is just a hunch, unaware that 2018 is Brooks Brothers' bicentennial. Judging by what he wore when he went out to vote in Minneapolis on November the 2nd, 2010, his preferences in shirts run less to button-down Oxford cloth than to chatty T-shirts. The question the U.S. Supreme Court will consider on Wednesday is whether Chillick's expressive shirt impermissibly interfered with Minnesota's interest in maintaining peace, order, and decorum at polling places. Gosh, I wonder what his shirt said. Minnesota forbids voters from wearing in a polling place political badges, buttons, or other insignia designed to, and I quote, influence and impact voting or promoting a group with recognizable political views, end quote, even if the things worn do not refer to any candidate or issue on that day's ballot. 9 other states have similar laws, and all 50 states have speech-free zones around polling places. Chillick's t-shirt featured the Gadsden flag, "Don't Tread on Me," and a small Tea Party logo. He also sported a button from a group worried about voter fraud that read, "Please ID me." He was temporarily prevented from voting, so being a real, that is, litigious American, he went to court. The Supreme Court has found no constitutional infirmity in campaign-free zones, but Minnesota's law, as Chillick experienced it, seems to mandate a First Amendment-free zone, which he says is unconstitutionally overbroad. Minnesota has admitted that its law also would forbid apparel bearing the logos of, for example, the Chamber of Commerce, the AFL-CIO, which do indeed have recognizable political views. These might trigger in people who see them. What? Political thoughts, perhaps tangentially related to candidates or propositions on the ballot? A lower court upheld the law used against Chillick's t-shirt as furthering Minnesota's legitimate interest in polling place peace, order, and decorum, and the integrity of its election process, and to protect voters from confusion and undue influence. That's what they said. It is one thing to ban, as the court has allowed, active solicitation of votes in or close to polling places. It is, however, a bit much for Minnesota to forbid passive expression of political, very broadly defined, allegiances not associated with any person or issue being voted on. And what about a t-shirt with a pristinely unpolitical message, e.g., "I despise Cocker Spaniels"? That might disturb some sensitive souls in a polling place, because we all wear "I love whatever," because I have French bulldogs, you know, and I would wear a t-shirt that said that. But that's funny, "I despise Cocker Spaniels." That might disturb some sensitive souls in a polling place. The Supreme Court can try to enunciate what is unimaginable, clear standards concerning every conceivable language use in a hypersensitive America. Or the court can give its squint of strict scrutiny to all such polling place laws, many of which will not pass muster. Otherwise, polling place officials will have broad discretion to lay down the law, if it can be dignified as law, on an ad hoc basis concerning what is and is not a recognizable political view or undue influence. And that was George Will's column, and George Will is a columnist for the Washington Post. A very fine movie if you want to go see it, called The Post. It's a really good movie. It's about the Pentagon Papers and the Washington Post.
Isn't Tom Hanks,
yes, he is.
Meryl Streep in it?
Yeah. Tom Hanks
Yes.
plays the editor of the Washington Post. I'm trying to remember, is it Ben Bradley?
I think so. I always like Tom Hanks. So
Yeah, he's good.
I almost always go see a movie he's in.
It's a good movie.
Okay.
Anyway, what you got now?
I've got an opinion piece.
That's the opinion from our editors in our paper. That's
Okay.
today's opinion. Yeah.
All right. Well, the article says, Army pushes fitness. All of America should too. This probably won't surprise you. Most Americans are overweight and out of shape.
Oh. Yep.
That's an understatement in some places.
Yep.
We eat food that's not good for us, and we eat too much of it. Not an understatement. We don't, however, tend to overdo our exercise. We're a pretty sedentary bunch. This, however, might come as a surprise. The Army has a fitness problem too. At any given time, more than 100,000 soldiers are unable to deploy, more because of injuries suffered in training than for any other reason. Some Army leaders believe healing is delayed for many soldiers because they just aren't physically fit as they should be.
Oh dear.
And then the news gets worse. Replacing soldiers is harder than ever. The Army's target recruiting market, young adults between 17 and 24, is in lousy shape. It's so bad that 72% of them are ineligible to serve in the military.
Whoa.
Nearly a third of them are simply too overweight. That's 24 million of the 34 million in that age group who wouldn't be eligible for a military career, even if they wanted one. And now that the national economy has improved and we're at full employment, most of those remaining 10 million who might qualify for military service are taking their careers elsewhere. Among the nation's young people, those from this region tend to be the least fit of all. As a story in Sunday's Observer reported, a study conducted by the military school, the Citadel, in conjunction with the Army Public Health Center and the American Heart Association, found that recruits from 10 states, including the Carolinas, are significantly less fit and consequently are more likely to encounter training-related injuries than recruits from other U.S. states. And yet, those 10 states account for more than 37% of the Army's new recruits in recent years. The Army is studying ways to overcome problems of recruit and soldier fitness, and is developing new standards for physical testing, as well as moving toward creating soldier performance readiness centers in combat units that include strength and conditioning coaches, physical therapists, nutritionists, sports psychologists, and counselors. The centers would aim to prevent injuries and speed the recovery of soldiers who do get injured. This would be yet another place where the military could provide leadership for civilian society, which needs the help. As obesity becomes a greater national problem, we're also seeing epidemics of diabetes, heart disease, and other severe health problems that are as taxing to the civilian workplace as they are to Army combat units. Even as American youth are getting heavier and less fit, schools have cut back or even eliminated physical education and other school programs that get kids up and moving. And in an era when young eyes are perpetually glued to phone, tablet, or PC screens, most time out of school is spent in sedentary pursuits as well. Again, those problems are greatest here in the states around us. The Citadel study shows rates of diabetes, heart disease, and some cancers are greater here than in the rest of the country. And the rates of obesity and physical inactivity are correspondingly higher as well. This is a societal problem that is costing us a fortune in lost work time and in healthcare costs. The trend lines are going in the wrong direction. It's getting worse, not better. The solution? Paying attention to what the Army is doing would be a good place to start. Not only is the service revamping its physical training requirements, it's also putting a strong emphasis on healthy eating. Education is a key, helping soldiers understand the damage they can do to themselves by failing to stay in shape and by consuming a diet heavy in fast food and refined ingredients. America needs a similar program. Continuous education about tobacco's harm has led to substantial decreases in America's smoking habit. A similar effort on good food and exercise could pay off as well. So with school systems' increased emphasis on physical training, it's worth a try. Lives are at stake. That's the end of that article.
Okay, let's see. Let's do station identification, and then because I have a fairly long article here about a tunnel in Switzerland. It's a very nice article. I read it at home. So go ahead and do that.
All right. This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WNC Chapel Hill. As a non-profit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the SENCRRS in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at 910-672-1010. 1600. Our toll-free number, 1-844-709-5656. Your radio hosts are
Tina Beatty
and Eric Leglowick, and we are proud to serve you today.
Okay, this is a very nice article. I read it at home. It's about a tunnel in Switzerland. I've been to Switzerland, and my sister lives there. She does not live in this particular part. She lives in the German-speaking part, but she lives in the Bernese Oberland. And this is about, well, it starts out in Lucerne anyway. It takes 27 minutes to pass through the Gotthard Base Tunnel. It's something of a dreamlike experience. You're on the train, hurtling through lush Swiss scenery, trackside haystacks and farmhouses, small villages with a single towering steeple, distant mist-crowned mountains, and dramatic landscape unfolding in more shades of green than you knew existed. Then all of a sudden, everything goes dark, pitch black. You're still moving at about 150 miles an hour, but now you can't see where you're going. That darkness, a 35-mile stretch through a mountain of granite, was unveiled in December 2016. The completed tunnel is part of an epic narrative. The Gotthard Base Tunnel replaced one that took 10 years to construct during the Victorian era. At that time, European commerce was growing briskly thanks to a newfangled mode of transportation. The railroad. That was newfangled transportation, the railroad, to travel from the medieval city of Basel in northwest Switzerland. Some people pronounce it Basel, but it's the correct Swiss pronunciation is Basel. In northwest Switzerland and close to the French and German borders to Milan. So it goes from Basel to Milan, this train. Doesn't that sound wonderful? Milan, a commercial centre, took 50 hours across the Alps by stagecoach. Can you imagine going across the Alps by stagecoach? Anyway.
2 days, no thank you.
So in 1872, construction began on the tunnel, which would employ up to 2,500 miners at a time and ultimately claim 100 lives, especially once they moved from using gunpowder to the then newly invented dynamite to bore through the solid earth. The new tunnel, which carries a price, that's the one that they have now, which carries a price tag of $12 billion, that's billion with a B, and took 17 years to build. 17 years. I mean, you're going through a granite mountain. They're going through a mountain. It's not any little thing there. The new tunnel, which carries a price tag of $12 billion and took 17 years to build, is the longest train tunnel in the world. I relate all this not to bury the lead, but because these are the things you'll think about as the train emerges into Bodio, a tiny town in Switzerland's Ticino region. It feels like a world away from the other side of the mountain. You'll notice how quickly the scenery transformed from mountainous alpine stretches to palm tree dappled Mediterranean landscape. Even the outside temperature is a few degrees warmer than it was where the tunnel starts. They've got to be in the Italian part of Switzerland if they got palm trees. That's my comment, folks, not the newspapers. You'll think about these things until your reverie is interrupted by a man with a stoic expression and an old-timey conductor's cap. He'll be gently ringing a bell to announce his arrival. He'll be pushing a cart from which he's hawking frothy cappuccinos dispensed from a compact machine, Swiss chocolate bars and croissants, as well as souvenirs such as Swiss Army knives and detailed toy train cars. Could you imagine having a cappuccino and a croissant? Doesn't that sound wonderful?
That sounds nice.
And the chocolate that the Swiss make is second to none. You'll snap a photo for Instagram. hashtag railroad goals or something. The new tunnel is part of the Gotthard Panorama Express, which I rode with a U-Rail pass. The U-Rail system is an astonishingly expansive network comprised of more than 35 railways, both high-speed and international and smaller regional lines. It covers more than 155,000 miles through 28 countries. I have always had a fascination with mass transportation. I don't have a license, so I depend on it in my daily life in New York City. Our subway system, a fraction of U-Rail's scope, is the object of much frustration and vilification because of its breakdowns and delays, but frankly, I think it's more worth noting how many times a day, rather hour, things run without incident. Amtrak, which can take me 226 miles from Manhattan to Washington, D.C. in under 3 hours at 150 miles per hour, is a pleasure trip. I didn't realize trains went at 150 miles per hour anymore. Anyway, when it works. Catastrophic derailments make headlines sometimes, and delays are frequent, but in my romantic, precision-obsessed image of Europe, I envision the train system as being as unflawed and lovely as other European contributions to the world, Mozart's operas, Vermeer's Milkmaid, Coco Chanel's Little Black Dress, baguettes. So it didn't take a moment's hesitation when a friend suggested a spring trip across country lines via rail. Lovely. Our journey started in Lucerne, a medieval city where German is the primary language. Rustic fondue eateries offer all the giddy excess you'd expect, and its moniker as the City of Lights rings true when you stand on one of the historic covered bridges watching the light bouncing off the Reuss River. In case you're confused, note that Paris is the City of Light. As well preserved as the old town is, however, shouts of modern Europe can be heard. I found Carol Corner, a cocktail bar that could put any cocktail joint to shame in London or San Francisco. A medley of gin and some unpronounceable apricot ingredient and garnished with rosemary made a mighty fine nightcap. The next day, before my friend and I caught the steamboat that would take us on a nearly 3-hour ride across Lake Lucerne to the Panorama train, we stopped into the Swiss Museum of Transport. It's common knowledge that the Swiss are the standard bearers for monitoring time, but the museum illuminates that they also made groundbreaking developments in how we make our way across the land through the space we occupy. The first mountain cogwheel train in Europe was built at Mount Rigi in 1871, for instance. The journey, ultimately, this is the journey she's talking about on Lake Lucerne, ultimately ended in Lugano, a small town tucked in a bay on Lake Lugano, surrounded by the epic mounts San Salvatore and Bray. Everyone speaks Italian, which makes sense when you learn that it was part of Italy until 1803.
Huh.
But Switzerland's in 3 distinct parts almost. There's the French-speaking part, the German-speaking part, and the Italian-speaking part. And there is no Swiss language. Swiss, when it's written down, is usually German. So, that's a little piece of information for you today. Anyway, where was I? On Lake Lugano, okay. Everyone speaks Italian, which makes sense when you learn that it was part of Italy until 1803. I spent the afternoon wandering narrow, cobblestone streets that snake around the Piazza della Riforma, the main square in the pedestrian-only city centre. With a metropolitan vibe, yet a veneer of antiquity, thanks in part to the hulking 11th century cathedral of San Lorenzo in the center of the town. It's a city of rich maritime history, narrow medieval streets, ornate 17th century palazzi, and excellent down-to-earth eateries. Plus, it's a magnificent home base if you're exploring the Ligurian coast. We decided on a day trip to Cinque Terre, which means 5 lands. It's a cluster of 5 hilly towns, 4,000 residents, and terraced vineyards, architectural marvels built into the coastal hillsides. This is a land of heroic viticulture. That's why. How wonderful. I would love to do something like that. Go on a train. Oh, lovely. I'd like to go on a train and go to the Grand Canyon.
Well, that does sound nice.
It does, doesn't it? You could do that too.
Yeah.
You have to look into it, yeah. But it's possible. You might have to go to Chicago to get on the train, but there's different places you can get on the train. But anyway,
sure.
What have you got?
I've got, for Backyard Universe,
Oh, yeah, Johnny Horn. Yeah. Okay.
Planetport evening sky slowly improves.
Okay.
Here's what he wrote. I had a group of kids over to look through my telescope this winter, and after eyeballing the moon through the scope, one little guy asked, "What about planets?" Most prominent planets, I had to tell them, were all morning objects right now and were visible only in the pre-dawn hours. Though planets Uranus and Neptune were indeed in the evening sky, their great distance makes them appear as little more than blue-green dots in the telescope eyepiece. Solar System's main attractions for telescope users, planets Jupiter, Mars, and Saturn, are all in the morning sky. But the Solar System is a dynamic, changing place, and those where more interesting pre-dawn worlds are slowly making their way back to more convenient evening observing hours between now and summer. This summer also features a very close approach to the red planet Mars, with Venus in the west. The first of the bright planets to return to our evening skies, Venus, is starting to become visibly very low in the west soon after sunset. Venus has been on the far side of the sun from us recently and is just now swinging out from the sun to allow it to be seen again. If skies are clear on March 18th, you'll see Venus close to the upper right of a very slim crescent moon in the west just after sunset. Dimmer Mercury will hang to the upper right of Venus that same evening. Venus will gain altitude each night heading into spring and will become more prominent in the western sky. This second planet from the sun will be with us in the western evening sky until fall. Jupiter late on spring nights. The next brightest planet after Venus, Jupiter, now rides high in the south as dawn breaks. By the third week in March, Jupiter can be seen rising around midnight over in the southeastern sky. Its rise time comes an hour earlier by the end of March, and in early May, Jupiter will rise at the sunset and be visible all night. Regardless of when you see Jupiter rising this spring, it will glow brightly with a steady light over in the southeast. If you're up before the sun and the sky is clear on the morning of March 7th, that will be Jupiter hanging close below the moon. Ring Saturns on summer nights. By mid-May, the telescopic showpiece of the night sky starts making an appearance in the southeast around midnight. Saturn will appear low in the southeast around that date, appearing as a bright yellowish star, in quotations, with a steady glow. Saturn reaches opposition on June 27th, when it will rise at sunset and remain visible until dawn. That means that midsummer we will have Saturn in a good position at a convenient evening time slot for telescopic observations. Most any scope magnifying at least 30 times will show the planet's signature ring system, but there is no hint of the rings with our unaided eyes. Between now and then, however, we'll have to rise early to catch Saturn. If you're up before dawn on a clear March 11th morning, Saturn will glow close to the upper right of the moon. And finally, a Martian summer visit. Planets Jupiter and Saturn are great targets anytime for small telescopes, but the big planetary news of 2018 is about Mars. Specifically, how close the red planet will come this summer. Being the most Earth-like planet we know of, aside from the ones we're living on, Mars is a tough telescopic target. It's only half the size of Earth and spends most of its orbit far from us, so it makes for a tiny target in a telescope eyepiece. That distance shrinks about every 2 years, and we can then glimpse surface detail on the red planets using small telescopes. Such a close passage of Mars happens this summer when Mars comes to opposition. Opposition means it's opposite the Sun in our sky and is then rather close. The upcoming opposition of Mars comes on July 27th, and the red planet is close, 35.8 million miles away. Back in May 2016, the red planet was also at opposition, but its distance was much greater at 46.78 million miles. The upcoming close opposition is very favorable and is just slightly more distant than one of the all-time close Mars oppositions of 34.65 million miles back in August 2003. Right now, Mars is an unspectacular reddish-looking object in our southeastern dawn sky, but it will grow in brightness as it closes in on us in late July. You'll see Mars close to the lower left of the Moon at dawn on March 9th.
Wow, let's see what time. We've got 15 minutes, so I don't do the television schedule until about 5 till or...
Okay.
What in the world is this? Oh, okay. It's about local politics. There's an article about Billy Graham there. Former judge to challenge Meredith. Former Cumberland County District Court Judge Ed Donaldson plans to run as a Democrat for the District 19 State Senate seat held by Republican Wesley Meredith. Meanwhile, 2 Fayetteville residents reported being polled in January about another Democrat as a potential candidate for the Senate 19 seat, former Fayetteville City Councilman Kirk DeVere. DeVere declined on Monday to say whether he plans to run. Elsewhere on the ballot, Albiero Flores of the Grays Creek area of Cumberland County has emerged as a possible Democratic opponent for Republican Representative John Soka in the 45th House District, and Ralph Molina of the Gates 4 neighborhood in Cumberland County said he plans to file today for one of the at-large seats on the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners. Donaldson said he will file for the North Carolina Senate because he dislikes the changes that the Republican-controlled legislature has been making to the North Carolina judiciary. I'm not happy with the direction of state government in Raleigh, Donaldson said. Partisanship is infecting every decision, and specifically I'm concerned with what's being done with our court system. Senator Meredith has done some good things for Cumberland County, but I think voters deserve a chance to go in a new direction. When Donaldson was a district court judge, the judicial elections were nonpartisan. The legislature in recent years has converted those races to partisan contests with tax-subsidized primaries held on behalf of the Democratic, Republican, and Libertarian parties. The Republican majority in the legislature since last summer has upset some judges of both parties with plans to revise the districts from which North Carolina judges are elected. Lawmakers backing the changes say the revisions would be long overdue adjustments to account for shifts in North Carolina's population and changes in courthouse workloads over the decades. Democrats contend that the revised maps are designed to make it easier for Republican judges to win and make it harder for Democrats. Okay, I have the time wrong. In the Senate race, Meredith will be hard for Donaldson or any other Democrat to beat. Although the Senate 19 district is closely divided along party lines, Republican voting residents barely outnumbered Democratic voting residents in 2016. Meredith is a well-financed incumbent with a leadership role in the Senate. He has a record of bringing money and projects to Cumberland County. In past contests, Meredith has proven he can raise more than $1 million, and he twice defeated 2 experienced, strong, and well-financed Democrats. Donaldson was a district court judge for more than 20 years. He left office after David Hasty challenged and beat him in 2006. In the State House 45th District election, Alvaro Flores submitted campaign paperwork in January with the State Board of Elections and Ethics Enforcement that said he intends to run for the seat held by John Soka. That's C-Z-O-K-A. I'm doing my best to pronounce that, although I'm not absolutely positive. But Flores has not yet filed his candidacy papers. The deadline is noon Wednesday, that's tomorrow. Flores could not be reached for comment. He used to be a partner with the Walker Flores Consulting Group, a business consultancy, according to his LinkedIn profile. The company's website is no longer online. Ralph Molina, who ran for the Cumberland County Board of Education in 2016, said he plans to file as a Republican at an at-large seat on the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners. 2 seats are on the ballot this year. That's 2 at-large seats. Molina joins fellow Republican Ron Ross on the Republican ticket. They face incumbent Democrats Charles Evans and Larry Lancaster. That's 2 names we know. Congress, this is the heading for the next paragraph. Democrat Grayson Parker of Goldsboro filed Friday for the 7th Congressional District seat held by Republican David Rouser of Johnson County. Parker faces Kyle Horton of Carolina Beach in the Democratic primary in the Fayetteville-Fort Bragg region. The 7th District includes Sampson County and part of Bladen County. And Democrats Ken Ramley of Raleigh and Jeff Matamu of Holly Springs filed Monday for the 2nd District seat held by Republican George Holding of Raleigh. They face Linda Coleman of Knightdale in the Democratic primary. Holding is running against Alan Chesser of Lewisburg in the Republican primary. And the 2nd District includes Harnett County. And you can all wake up now because I'm just about done. Oh. I know I put you to sleep. This is so exciting. Gosh. You got anything little? Maybe you can read part of something. I don't know. Don't have much choice. Do what you can with that one.
Sure thing.
And I'll wave you down when I need to do the TV schedule.
I understand. The deputy thought gunfire was outside. This is in reference to the shooting last week.
Yeah.
And the sheriff's deputy assigned to guard the Florida high school that was the scene of a mass shooting never entered the building to confront the suspect because he believed the gunfire was coming from the outside, his attorney said Monday. Scott Peterson has been called a coward and worse for failing to stop the massacre that killed 17 people at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Criticism intensified Monday as President Donald Trump blasted the deputy and other officers who were there, saying they weren't exactly Medal of Honor winners. If he had been there, Trump said, he would have raced into the school during the attack even if he were unarmed. Peterson's attorney issued his first public statement about the attack, saying it was patently untrue that the deputy failed to meet Sheriff's Department standards or acted with cowardice at the scene of the February 14th attack. He resigned after Broward County Sheriff Scott Israel said he felt sick to his stomach over his deputy's failure to intervene. Let there be no mistake, Mr. Peterson wishes that he could have prevented the untimely passing of the 17 victims on that day, and his heart goes out to the families of the victims in their time of need, Attorney Joseph DeRusso said in the statement. The sheriff's account of Peterson's actions that day was a gross oversimplification of the events, the attorney said. Politicians and other officials have been withering in their criticism. Speaking to a group of governors at the White House, Trump said, "You don't know until you're really tested. But I really believe I've run in there even if I didn't have a weapon. And I think most of the people in this room would have done that too." Peterson's statement said he and a security specialist ran to the scene at first word of the shooting, a report that mistakenly said firecrackers were being set off near one building. He then heard gunshots but believed that those gunshots were originating from outside the building. Following his training to seek cover and assess the situation in the event of outdoor gunfire, he took up a tactical position between 2 nearby buildings while alerting dispatchers and initiating a code red lockdown of the campus, the statement said. Radio transmissions indicated that there was a gunshot victim in the area of the football field adding to his belief that the shooting was outside. Florida Governor Rick Scott's office has asked the Florida Department of Law Enforcement to investigate the police response, and the agencies confirmed it would begin the probe immediately. Meanwhile, a state Senate ruling committee met Monday to consider raising the age or buying a gun from 18 to 21 and imposing a 3-day waiting period for all gun purchases. The meeting room was packed with people an hour before the hearing was set to start, and when security guards refused to let more people inside, more than 100 on the outside chanted, "Let us in." On the steps of the state capitol, gun control supporters kept up their protest. Former Miami Beach Mayor Philip Levine, now a Democratic candidate for governor, led a rally of more than 1,000 people calling for a ban on assault rifles and criticizing the National Rifle Association for its proposal to arm teachers. "We know that is dumb, dumb, dumb," Levine said to cheers and applause despite the heavy rain. Bussed in front around the state, protesters wore orange t-shirts saying "Gun Reform Now." One held a sign with an image from the movie The Sixth Sense with the words "I see dead people," thanks to the GOP and NRA. Another said, "Hey lawmakers, take the pledge, no NRA money."
Okay, just right, Rob. Okay, this is the television schedule for tonight. On ABC at 8 o'clock, The Middle, 8:30, Fresh Off the Boat, both of those are new. 9 o'clock, Blackish, 9:30, Modern Family, 10 o'clock, Kevin, and Probably Saves the World, and that's new. CBS, NCIS at 8, Bull at 9, both of those are new. NCIS New Orleans at 10, that is also new. On Fox, Lethal Weapon at 8, which is new. LA to Vegas, whatever that is, that's new, and that's on at 9. And The Mick is on at 9:30, and Fox News is on at 10 o'clock. NBC, The Voice, which is a new program, on at 8. This Is Us at 9. Chicago Med at 10. And on PBS tonight, We'll Meet Again at 8. American Creed at 9, which is a new show. Frontline, which is also new, part 2 of 2, so I don't know what happened to 1 of 2, maybe that was yesterday. A&E, Intervention at 8, and again at 9. And Undercover, again, at 10 o'clock. Don't know what any of that is. Okay, 8 o'clock on AMC, Armageddon, a 1998 science fiction film with 2 stars starring Bruce Willis. On the Discovery Channel, 8 o'clock, Street Outlaws, 9 o'clock, Street Outlaws, and 10 o'clock too. Okay. Down we go. On TBN, Praise at 8, Joseph Prince at 9, Carolyn Leaf at 9:30, Joyce Meyer at 10, and something called Leading at 10:30. On TBS, The Big Band, all the way across till 10:30, and then something called The Detour. Turner Classic Movies, here's a goodie for you. On the Waterfront at 8 o'clock, 1954 4-star movie starring Marlon Brando. And then All the King's Men comes on at 10, that's a 1949 movie starring Broderick Crawford. So, and on TLC, My Big Fat Fabulous Life at 8, Counting On at 9, Seeking Sister Wife at 10. And this concludes our reading of the Fayetteville Observer. Your radio hosts have been
Eric LeGlowick
and Tina Beatty. Please tune in at 1 p.m. when you can hear an hour of the Paraglide, at 2 p.m. for a tape broadcast of the Southern Pines pilot. At 4 p.m. you can hear Off the Bookshelf. Additionally, you will hear a rebroadcast of today's Fayetteville Observer tonight at 9 p.m. We will now join the Raleigh Network for additional news of interest. Thank you for tuning us in. We've enjoyed being with you this morning, and we hope you have a wonderful day. And thank you for reading with me. You did a wonderful job. You read really well.
Thank you.
Yes, really, doesn't he, folks? Yes. They agree with me. Anyway, we'll see you next week on the radio, God willing. Okay, bye-bye. Off. I don't know about this one.
Coming up this afternoon on the Triangle Radio Reading Service.
I don't know if that one's off.
We actually got a few seconds, but that's better than running over. It's hard, but I don't know how you do.
1:30 Money Matters. At 2 o'clock, Connections. At 2:30,
And I just clicked the
Did you enjoy yourself?
Yes.
Good. I don't know what you do now. Oscar. I'm a technical fool, sort of. I know how to operate my cell phone. I do buy things online.
Yes, this
All
is
the
my first
time.
time doing this.
Well, you've done
It's
a
all
wonderful
new
job.
for me.
Well, as far as this computer thing goes, I'm sure you'll have that figured out in no time. But you did really well reading.
Thank you.
Really well. You want some more of these?
Oh, sure. Thank you.
I usually have some kind of candy on me somewhere. It's sugar-free, but oh well.
Good afternoon, this is the Triangle Radio Reading Service. Today is Tuesday, February 27th.
Just get my raincoat. See how cold it is outside.
We're good. The weather.
Go out if you need to shut anything off, would you?
The content of this program is intended for people who are blind and impaired.
Time I was supposed to be there.
15 and grade 10. 1:30 is Money Mountains with the begin with sports and
There we go. She said just take the mic out of the computer. That's it.
Well, that was easy. I gotta see, I know I have to go to the tax man. I can't remember what my husband said. I hope I wrote it down.
Very well.
I know it did.
And Virginia Tech just played hard.